Welcome back. Alright, the sound bite that I want to work with today is very important, in my opinion, for the awareness of anybody that is trying to improve their lives, work on mental health issues, work on addiction. And the sound bite is that you can't get to distant lands until you're no longer afraid to lose sight of the shore. I'd have you think about maybe pausing the video at this point and considering what is it that means to you, what that might mean for the purposes of this video. You see, I have the good fortune of being able to ask my clients questions so that they'll introspect in the session. And it's not just a lecture, you see, of course it's a dialogue, it's an exchange of thoughts. And I know that everything that we learn is going to be better learned if it is something that we have insight about, as opposed to being told what the answer is. Now, assuming that maybe some have done that, maybe some haven't done that, I mean, the first thing that I would have you consider in this metaphor is what the shore represents. And what I would tell you that I think it represents is familiarity. You see, people come to treatment, they come to a therapist, they tell themselves that they are very, very interested in making changes in their lives. However, while change is inevitable, paradoxically, most of the time we resist it. You see, we have these identities that are associated to who we are, and when we start to have a shakeup of those identities, even when they're not good for us, even when they're sicknesses, we start to lose a sense of ourselves to some degree. And while people come in to see a therapist or whatever circumstances that they're trying to change and fully intend to change, when it comes to doing the work, a lot of times they're resistant, or there's a backslide, or whatever it is that happens that keeps us stuck in our familiarity. Of all of the things that I have overcome, and there's tons of them, I think that the one that most clearly illustrates this for me is that when I quit smoking, I'm able to see in retrospect that when there was just 2 or 3 weeks of not smoking for me, and I would breathe a little bit better, and I stopped coughing up that brown, icky stuff that, you know, when you smoke a pack and a half a day for over a decade, you get these, you know, very funky, what we would call lungers. And anyway, I stopped coughing those things up. I'd be able to walk up a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing. And I'm able to see now in retrospect, and I'll emphasize that and get back to it in a minute, but I'm able to see now in retrospect that that small semblance of health was uncomfortable. It was unusual. It was not typical for me to be able to breathe better and all that went with not smoking. Now, I emphasized that it was in retrospect because at the time, and when we fall back into bad habits, we think in terms of, well, I was stressed, or one cigarette won't hurt me, or you know, I'm doing so good I need a reward of doing what it is that I'm trying to not do, or whatever rationale we put to doing the things that we aren't supposed to be doing. Now, it's hard enough to stop bad habits, and it's hard enough to get past that point of being in the struggle of not doing those things that we know we shouldn't do. But a very important part of this is to know, to understand that as we are getting further away from that familiarity of who we are, and we are not yet to that distant land, that we feel lost, we feel unanchored, we feel directionless. No matter whether it's anger, whether it's depression, whether it's smoking, whether it's addiction, whatever it happens to be, we identify with that part of us. And when we aren't doing that, when I am trying to be a non-smoker, but I'm not a non-smoker, I'm not a non-smoker, but I'm not smoking, is what I'm trying to get to. Or when I'm not peaceful, but I'm not acting on my anger all of the time like I used to. Or, you know, plug in whatever situation that you can think of. That, you know, I'm not this guy, but I'm not that guy. I'm in the direction of being a better person, but boy, I feel fraudulent. I feel like I'm still a smoker, but I'm not smoking. And there's only one way through that. And the only way through that is to push through it. So that now I know I'm a non-smoker. You could not make me smoke. And I am not going back to that point. It's been a hard journey to get to a point of knowing I'm a non-smoker. I have no interest in doing something that puts me at risk for smoking again. You know, I know that I'm not angry guy. Yes, I have my moments. I don't think I will ever not have my moments. But they're so much further and fewer between that, you know, I am almost never angry. And certainly I'm not acting overtly on that anger, typically. And, you know, used to be, I was angry 20 times a day. It was just waiting for a place to land, and I would be more than happy to drop it on your head if you were around. So, it's just really, really important for us to understand that as we're going towards becoming this different person that we aspire to be, to know that it necessarily will pass through the discomfort of uncertainty, you know, unanchoredness, to stick with the metaphor. Okay? And this is a very, very important thing. The next thing that I want to say relative to any of this is that I would highly recommend that you do the work because you're worth it. When you become less angry or controlling an addiction or not smoking or whatever it happens to be, oh boy, that's worth the effort. I assure you, you're worth it.